The bustling market square of New Terra thrummed with life, a unique blend of humans and various alien races mingling under the neon-lit structures that had become homes to countless civilizations. Alex Carter, dressed in a navy suit that failed to hide his casual demeanor, strode through the crowd, his eyes scanning the vendors and their wares. He was late for the trade summit, and a tight knot formed in his stomach as he remembered his role as a human ambassador. "Hey, Alex," called out a familiar voice. It was Sarah, his close friend and fellow diplomat, a bright-eyed woman with curly brown hair and a ready smile. "Yeah." He paused, catching up to her. "You're going to be the subject of jealousy today. The Nithra delegation is here." "Nithra? They're supposed to be regal and aloof, right?" he replied, a chuckle escaping his lips. "Exactly. But they're also known for their wisdom. Just don't make any jokes. It might lead to intergalactic tension." She smirked, nudging him playfully. "Noted. No jokes about crowns or anything," he said, rolling his eyes. As they approached the grand hall, the architecture took on a magnificent scale, intricate designs twinkling like stars. Alex could see the Nithran contingent gathering. It was hard not to notice Celine, the leading delegate. She stood out, her shimmering silver skin and striking blue eyes a stark contrast to the drab attire of most gathered humans. "Looks like she means business," Sarah said, her eyes widening. "I've heard she's a real force of nature." Alex admired Celine from a distance. Despite her imposing presence, there was something intriguing about her. As they entered, a hush fell over the room. The attention turned to Celine as she began to speak. "Fellow diplomats, we gather here today not just for trade." Her voice resonated, calm and purposeful, "but for the future of our interstellar relationships." As Celine continued her speech, Alex found himself increasingly captivated. The way she commanded the room with both authority and grace was unlike anything he had ever witnessed. "Humanity stands at a crossroads," she proclaimed, her gaze sweeping across the audience. "The strength of your species lies not just in its numbers but in its adaptability." Alex glanced at Sarah, who was nodding enthusiastically. "See? I told you she's incredible. She's going to change everything." When the speech concluded, he found an opportunity to approach her as the crowd dispersed. "Celine, your words were powerful," he said, extending his hand. She turned, her blue eyes locking onto his, ready to dismiss him as just another diplomat. But there was a flicker of curiosity. "Thank you, Alex Carter," she said, effortlessly pronouncing his name. "And what do you think of our relationship?" "Honestly, I think we need understanding, not just trade. There's so much potential here." Celine studied him for a moment, intrigued. "And what do you think makes humanity adaptable?" Alex leaned in slightly, his voice lowering. "We learn. We fail. We rise again. Maybe that resilience is what connects us all." "Interesting approach," she replied, her head tilting slightly. "Yet I find humans to be complicated. So many layers." "True, but that complexity can work for us. I mean, look at the diversity in our cultures. What if we used that to build something new?" Celine's expression softened slightly. "You have a clever tongue, Alex Carter." The moment was punctuated by laughter from nearby delegates, reminding them both of the crowded room. Yet, within that noise, Alex felt that spark, an undeniable connection. "Maybe we should discuss this further." "Over dinner?" he suggested, surprised at his boldness. "I rarely engage with diplomats over casual meals," she replied, a flicker of rebuke in her tone. "You're not just any diplomat. You're from the Nithra. You're destined to change the galaxy. Is that your way of saying I'm special?" She asked, a smile teasing her lips. "Only if you want to be," he countered, meeting her gaze directly. "I'll consider it," she said, a hint of humor dancing in her voice. As the night drew closer, Alex and Sarah walked outside. "What did you say to her?" she asked, her eyes glinting with excitement. "Not much, really. Just the usual diplomatic stuff," he replied, but the thrill of the interaction still buzzed through him. "Usual? You just had an engaging conversation with one of the most influential beings in the galaxy." "Well, I think there's more to her than just politics," he mused, tapping his chin thoughtfully. "She's got this energy, this desire to reach beyond mere governance. I want to know what's behind that facade. Just be careful. Nithrans don't take those who overstep easily," she cautioned, her brow furrowing. "Understood. But I have a feeling there's a reason she's here beyond trade agreements." Later that week, Alex prepared for their dinner. He picked out a new shirt, wanting to make the right impression. When Celine arrived at the venue, a cozy restaurant set against a backdrop of shimmering stars, he felt his heart race. "Alex," she greeted, and he couldn't help but notice how her presence lit up the room. "Celine, you look stunning," he managed, gesturing for her to take a seat. "As do you," she replied, her eyes twinkling. "Let's see if the cuisine here can match your charm." They both laughed, and as dinner progressed, conversation flowed seamlessly. It was no longer just about politics. They talked about their favorite foods, shared stories of childhood adventures, and even exchanged tales of embarrassing moments. "Once, I accidentally brought a Kiptralina fruit soup to a dinner party," Alex confessed, shaking his head. "It turned bright orange when heated. Everyone freaked out." Celine burst into laughter, the sound like chimes. "I can only imagine the chaos." The evening wound down, and as they walked out, there was an ease between them that felt comfortable yet electric. Alex suddenly reached for her hand. "Celine," he said softly, "thank you for tonight. I can't explain this, but I feel like our worlds have more in common than we realize." "Perhaps you're right," she whispered, squeezing his hand gently. As they stood under the blanket of stars, Alex leaned closer, caught in the moment. "Maybe we can explore that together?" She looked at him, her expression a mix of uncertainty and longing. "I would like that, Alex." Another shared laugh broke the tension, but it was that shared moment of silence, a flicker of possibility, that made the evening unforgettable. Something stirred in the air between them, hinting at adventures yet to come. Chapter 2: An Alliance of Hearts. The sun set over New Terra, casting long shadows across the cityscape. Alex Carter found himself unable to focus on his work as he sat at his desk, the familiar hum of his office only amplifying his distraction. Celine occupied his thoughts. The sparkle in her eyes and their easy conversations replayed in his mind. "Hey, Earthling!" The voice jolted him from his reverie. It was Sarah, her ever-enthusiastic entrance breaking through the solitude. "What are you daydreaming about? World peace or a date with an alien queen?" "Actually, both might apply," he admitted, a grin breaking across his face. "Spill it. What's brewing between you two?" she asked. Her curiosity piqued as she leaned against the doorframe. "We've been talking regularly," he confessed, suddenly cautious. "She's not just a delegate. There's something deep about her." "Deep? In what way?" she pressed, crossing her arms. "I dunno. It's like she's searching for something more than just political power. She's got this fire in her," he said, tapping his fingers on the desk absent-mindedly. Sarah smiled knowingly. "That's how it always begins, Alex. Just remember, she's still from another world." "Yeah, but what if that other world is what connects us?" he mused. "I don't want to just be another face at a summit. I want to know what she truly desires." "I think you're in too deep already," she said teasingly, but Alex only smirked back, the thought invigorating him. Later that week, Alex received an invitation from Celine for a visit to her Nithran embassy, an extravagant structure adorned with shimmering fabrics and intricate sculptures. Stepping through the entrance, Alex felt a rush of adrenaline mixed with curiosity. The atmosphere was unexpectedly warm and welcoming, brightened by soft harmonies of Nithran music playing in the background. "Alex," Celine greeted as she appeared, her presence commanding yet approachable. She wore robes that flowed like liquid stars, but her smile made her seem more down to earth. "Celine, you look radiant," Alex said, taking a moment to soak in her elegance. "Flattery will get you everywhere," she teased, leading him into a large atrium filled with lush greenery. "I wanted to share something beyond just talk of trade." They moved to a seating area draped in soft linens. "What's on your mind?" Alex asked, intrigued to see her change in demeanor. "I think it's time we discuss culture," she replied, her tone serious yet animated. "How do you see art in your world?" "Art? It's all around us, music, paintings, stories. It's the essence of who we are," he answered passionately. "Tell me about your favorite," Celine encouraged. Alex leaned back, recalling a moment. "There's this street artist I know in New Terra. He paints murals inspired by things most people overlook, like an unremarkable alleyway that tells a story when you stop to look. It makes you think." Celine's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "I'd love to see one of those works." "The stories our art tells are crucial in understanding who we are." "Absolutely. And what about Nithra? What do your artists create?" he asked, eager to learn. "Many of our creations focus on the alignment of the cosmos, each piece depicting a story in space and time," she explained, clearly passionate about her culture. "It's like ascending through the universe with every brushstroke." He nodded, captivated by her fervor. "I bet the pieces are breathtaking. Would you like to see one?" she offered, her enthusiasm evident. Yes. Lead the way, he replied, a thrill surging through him. They wandered through corridors adorned with indescribable art forms. One piece caught his eye, a vibrant mural of interstellar travel, each stroke pulsing with energy. It's stunning, Alex said, his hand reaching out to touch the delicate textures. What inspired this? A personal experience, really, Celine replied, her voice softer now. It speaks of a journey through fear and uncertainty, yet finding strength and trust. That sounds familiar, Alex said, meeting her gaze. We all have those moments, don't we? Moments that define us. Exactly, she agreed, an unexpected intensity in her eyes. Trust can build bridges. It's why I've invited you here, to explore what we can create together. That sounds ambitious. How do you envision us collaborating? He asked, intrigued. What if we host an art and culture exchange? We can showcase our best creations, unite our people through shared expressions, she proposed. Our cultures could enrich each other, Alex replied, excitement building. Imagine showcasing Nitharan artistry alongside human talent. We could foster understanding in a way that a meeting never could. Exactly. But it must be beyond mere diplomacy. It should evoke emotions, tell stories, create a bond, Celine added, her enthusiasm contagious. Let's get to planning then. We can compile ideas and build a framework for this initiative, Alex suggested, already brainstorming. Will you help me with outreach to different artists in your community? She asked, her eyes shimmering with hope. Of course. This is incredible, he responded, feeling the flow of energy between them. Celine stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Your enthusiasm is inspiring. He caught her gaze, a rush of warmth washing over him. It's easy to get excited when I'm with you. For a moment, the distance closed between them, the air thick with unspoken words. Celine looked away, clearing her throat. We should gather our teams and start brainstorming. Right, Alex said, stepping back to gain composure. Let's do this. In the days that followed, they met often to flesh out the artistic exchange. Ideas flowed as freely as laughter between them. Each meeting strengthened their connection. They found themselves sharing personal stories, revealing their dreams and fears during late-night brainstorming sessions. One evening, as they sifted through potential participants and venues, Celine leaned across the table. Alex, what if we include human authors in this exchange? Literature is a vital part of your culture. Absolutely. I know several writers who would jump at the chance, he said enthusiastically. It could create a dialogue between our stories. Celine smiled, her eyes twinkling. I can envision Nitharan poets weaving tales of the stars with human narratives. It would be a first, eh? Before she could finish, a loud crash echoed outside, followed by a commotion. Alex jumped to his feet. What was that? Celine's expression hardened. I don't know, but we should check. Rushing to a window, they peered outside to find a gathering crowd, some displaying signs and shouting. What's happening? Alex asked, worry creeping in. They don't want us working together, Celine said, her voice strained. Some members of my delegation are resistant to the idea of mingling with humans. Maybe we can talk to them. They don't understand our intentions, Alex urged, determined to diffuse the tension. Let's go, Celine replied, steeling herself. They hurried outside, ready to confront whatever emotions had led to this uproar. As they emerged, an uncertain bond settled around them, one forged not by duty but by a shared commitment to foster understanding even when faced with resistance. Together, Alex whispered as they stepped into the fray, hand in hand. Chapter 3, A Choice Between Worlds. The following days were a whirlwind of excitement and anxiety for Alex and Celine. They had begun to lay the groundwork for their ambitious artistic exchange, but the uproar created by the opposing faction left a persistent tension in the air. Both knew they had to address it before moving forward. One evening they met at Celine's embassy for a strategy session. The room was adorned with holographic projections of potential art pieces from both cultures, magnificent displays of color and creativity. Celine sat at the table, her brow furrowed in thought. Maybe we should start with smaller events to ease the tension, she suggested, flipping through a digital tablet filled with notes. A series of workshops where artists can share their skills without the politics. Alex nodded, leaning forward. That makes sense. If we can demonstrate the value of collaboration on a smaller scale, it may help change minds. Exactly. Perhaps we can bring in a few respected figures from both sides to act as mediators, she offered, her eyes brightening. Their influence could sway public opinion. I know just the person, Alex replied, tightening his fist in determination. I'll reach out to Jeremy Lockhart. He's a notable artist in New Terra, highly respected, and he's worked with other species before. Great choice. And I can invite the esteemed Kira Orlani from Nithara. They both bring credibility, Celine said, invigorated by the prospects. Let's present this plan to our delegates once we've got everything in place. A sense of unity sparked between them as they spoke, the tension from the protest seeming to melt away. Let's make it happen, Alex affirmed, and the two began mapping out a detailed plan. The next day, Alex met with Jeremy Lockhart at a small cafe filled with eclectic stimuli. The walls showcased rotating local art, creating a vibrant atmosphere. As he approached Jeremy's table, the seasoned artist looked up, his expression warm yet scrutinizing. Alex, good to see you. What's this I hear about an artistic collaboration with the Nitherans? He asked, a hint of skepticism in his voice. Actually, it's true, Alex confirmed, taking a seat. Celine, the Nitheran delegate, and I are trying to build a cultural exchange, but there have been some tensions. And by tensions, you mean protests, Alex interjected, lowering his voice. Some factions on both sides are resistant to the idea of us working together. Jeremy leaned back, scratching his beard. That's not surprising. Change comes with resistance. What do you need from me? Your influence and perhaps a little enthusiasm. We want to host workshops showcasing both of our artistic heritages, starting small to build trust, Alex explained. When do I start? Jeremy asked, his interest piqued. I love this idea. Soon. Celine is planning to reach out to Kira Orlani as well. With both of you involved, I think it'll gain traction, Alex replied, feeling a swell of hope. I'll make the calls. Just send me the details and I'll also put the word out in the artist community, Jeremy volunteered, a grin spreading on his face. Art is about connection and I want to be a part of that. Back at the embassy, Celine was through the roof with excitement when Alex returned with the news. Jeremy is on board. This is fantastic. Not just him, he's contacting others in the community to get them involved as well, Alex said, his enthusiasm matching hers. Do you think Kira will accept? Celine asked, her brows knitting together. She'll warm up to the idea. She's always been passionate about intercultural dialogue. Plus, your reputation will help. Alex's gaze held firm, a promise behind his words. Celine smiled, the prospect of collaboration brightening her spirit. I hope you're right. As they worked late into the night, every shared laugh and knowing glance layered their mutual appreciation. Each moment wove a stronger thread between them, teasing at the idea of something more. The next few weeks flew by as they set up the exchange. With the plans taking full shape, they decided to host a joint press conference to introduce the initiative to both civilizations. Are you ready for this? Celine asked, her voice laced with a mix of excitement and nerves as they prepared backstage. I've never been more ready for anything in my life, Alex replied, offering a reassuring smile. We've come this far, we can manage a little spotlight. They stepped onto the stage as a wave of applause greeted them. Alex took a deep breath, glancing at Celine, who appeared calm yet focused. Welcome everyone, Celine started, her voice steady and clear. Today we are excited to announce a new initiative aimed at cultivating artistic collaboration between the peoples of Nithera and Earth. Alex chimed in, we believe this will not only showcase our diverse talents but also build connectivity through shared experiences. As they spoke, they could see the audience engaging. Some skeptics had turned to listen, visibly intrigued by the vision presented by both delegates. Together, we will explore art, music, and literature. Celine continued, her eyes sparkling. We invite artists and creators from both realms to join us. After they finished their speech, the applause rang louder, but a section of dissenters remained silent, arms crossed. Alex caught sight of them, familiar faces from the protests. Backstage. How do you propose? What if we hold an open forum where they can voice concerns and ask questions directly to us, he suggested. Celine considered it, her brows knitting together again. That could work. It would show transparency. Exactly. We have to demonstrate that this isn't just about politics, it's about connecting people, Alex reiterated. Let's schedule that, Celine decided, her determination shining through. We have to face the challenges head-on. In the days leading up to the open forum, both Alex and Celine worked tirelessly, organizing a platform that would encourage dialogue and collaboration. When that day finally arrived, they stepped into the venue to find a mix of supporters and skeptics gathered. Here goes nothing, Alex whispered as they stood at the front. Celine took a deep breath. Let's do this together. The meeting commenced and several members of the audience voiced their concerns. An animated discussion unfolded. Questions arose about whether cultural integrity would be compromised. Fears of losing identity lingered in the air. Alex took a step forward, encouraged by Celine's unwavering support at his side. Change is always challenging, but it doesn't mean we have to erase what makes us unique. In fact, by working together, we can strengthen our identities. Celine added, cultural exchange is about exploration, not exploitation. We want to celebrate what makes us different, while finding harmony in our shared experiences. Throughout the multitude of questions, Alex felt the unity between them deepen. Their shared purpose illuminated their path, but it was punctuated with the reality of their backgrounds, the complexities of their worlds challenging their ideals. But they knew they stood at a turning point where artistic collaboration could redefine the way they viewed each other. As the forum concluded, they emerged from the venue under starlit skies, exhausted but exhilarated. I think we made a difference today, Celine remarked, her eyes still gleaming. Definitely. And I feel like we're making something beautiful together, Alex replied, the understanding lingering between them. For just a moment, the layers of responsibility faded as they stood side by side, each contemplating what the future could hold, not just for their peoples, but for themselves as well. Chapter 4, Shadows of the Past. The excitement from the open forum barely settled before the aftermath began to unfold. Alex and Celine had garnered interest from several artists eager to participate in the collaboration, but murmurs of dissent still lingered, echoing through the corridors of both their cultures. One rainy afternoon, Alex found himself at Celine's embassy, huddled under an awning as droplets pattered rhythmically against the window. Inside, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation as they prepared to host a showcase to announce their first joint initiative. Can you believe we're on the cusp of something this big? Alex said, his voice bright with enthusiasm. Celine paced back and forth, her expression mixing excitement with concern. I just hope the influence of the protests doesn't overshadow our efforts. Let them come. We'll show them what a creative partnership can achieve, Alex replied confidently. Celine paused, her brow furrowing. They may not be open to change, especially those committed to the old ways. There's a lot at stake for the Nitherans. Then it's our job to demonstrate that change can enrich rather than diminish, he countered. How about we invite a few dissenters to the event? Let them see the art for themselves. That could backfire, Celine said, biting her lip. But it could also reveal new perspectives. We need to approach this directly, he insisted. Fine. I'll reach out to them, but you need to be prepared for harsh questions, Celine cautioned, grudgingly accepting his proposal. Bring it on, he grinned. A few days later, the showcase was in full swing. Vibrant murals, colorful sculptures, and interactive art installations from both cultures decorated the expansive hall. Artists from both sides eagerly waited to showcase their work while attendees buzzed with anticipation. I can't believe this is happening, Alex said, surveying the lively environment. It looks incredible. It does, Celine agreed, her eyes scanning the crowd. I just hope we have enough support. And if we don't, he asked, his tone teasing. We'll just take the next rocket and escape to a distant planet, right? Celine chuckled, her tension easing momentarily. You always know how to lighten the mood. As they settled in at the front of the room, the lights dimmed and a hush fell over the crowd. A selected artist stood at the microphone, sharing their inspiration and connecting the two cultures through storytelling. Feedback rolled in like waves. Some were warm and enthusiastic, while others carried a certain skepticism. After a while, the crowd began shifting. Alex could sense the murmurs and whispers turning into a more direct opposition. A figure emerged from the shadows, a representative from the dissenters named Yarrick, a tall, resolute man with a hard expression. Enough of this, art cannot erase our identities. Yarrick shouted, cutting across the atmosphere like a blade. Silence gripped the room. Alex stepped forward, taking a deep breath. What we're showcasing is not meant to erase anything. It's about building bridges, not tearing down walls. Yarrick advanced, eyes piercing. And at what cost? Mixing our crafts will only dilute our roots, he challenged. Celine took a breath, prepared to join Alex. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. We can share without losing our unique identities. Sharing implies equality, yet we've seen how humanity has treated other civilizations. Is that really what we want? Yarrick replied, his voice escalating with passion. Your experiences are valid, and I don't want to diminish them, Alex urged, trying to keep the dialogue civil. But we can't remain stagnant either. Stagnation leads to irrelevance. Is that what you think of us? That we would fade away? Yarrick shot back, anger flaring in his voice. No, Alex began, but Celine held up her hand. Please, let me handle this, she said, stepping in front of Alex, a composed intensity in her demeanor. I understand your fears, Yarrick. They are shared by many. But we must acknowledge that fear of loss should not prevent the opportunity for growth. We're not here to erase or overshadow it. It sounds like you're willing to sacrifice our culture for this venture, Yarrick interrupted, skepticism etched in his voice. No, I want both cultures to thrive, Celine refuted calmly. This collaboration is a way to strengthen both of our legacies, not dismantle them. I refuse to believe that until I see it, he said, crossing his arms defiantly. Then see it, Alex replied, stepping closer. Talk to the artists, experience the work firsthand. Art offers understanding where words often fail. Yarrick hesitated, his resolve shaky under the weight of their combined arguments. And if I don't like it? Then I'll accept your perspective, Celine assured him. But you have to be willing to give it a chance. Fine, he muttered, backing off for a moment. But know this, I'll be watching. I won't let us become mere remnants of history. As Yarrick retreated, Alex let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. That went better than expected, right? Celine shook her head, her tone turning grave. Not necessarily. He was just one voice, but it reflects a larger audience. We'll need to work harder to convince them. Together, Alex said, meeting her gaze. We'll show them what this can be. In the following days, they reached out to influential figures and artists across both cultures, ready to bridge the divisions Yarrick represented. Artists engaged in the workshops, sharing their methods, perspectives, and techniques. I still can't believe we pulled this off, Celine said one evening as they surveyed an impressive installation that featured works from both Nithra and New Terra. Hard work and a little luck, Alex replied, nudging her shoulder. Thanks for trusting me with this. Celine smiled softly. Your faith inspires me, and I appreciate your ability to connect the dots. Easy when I'm working with someone who knows where to look, he quipped. And the moment of levity hung in the air, their camaraderie growing. As the showcase day neared, nerves kept creeping in. What if nobody shows up? Celine wondered one day, her expression slightly anxious. Then we'll create something special for the people who do come. Each moment matters, he replied reassuringly. You make it sound so easy, she remarked, fighting off her worry. It is easy when you're a part of something meaningful. That's the goal, Alex said, his voice steady. Meaningful, she echoed, mulling over that word. You know, when I think about what we're trying to do, it seems larger than life. I suppose that's the beauty of art, it contains infinite stories, right? He added, a spark igniting in his eyes. The night of the showcase finally arrived and the room was filled with vibrant energy as attendees began to stream in. The atmosphere was bustling, laughter and chatter mixing with the sounds of music. A diverse collection of art filled the space, showcasing the newly formed alliance through stunning visuals and layered meanings. As people began to explore, a sense of connection seemed to form organically. This is incredible, Sarah exclaimed as she arrived, her eyes wide. I can't believe how much work you've both accomplished. Thank you. It's been a labor of love, Celine said, glancing at Alex with pride. Just wait until you see what we have planned for later, Alex added, excitement lacing his words. As the hours passed, Alex caught sight of Yarrick lingering at the edge of a mural created collaboratively. He approached cautiously. This is impressive, Yarrick admitted, his tone softer than before. Glad you could make it, Alex replied, his voice friendly. I thought I'd hold you to your offer, Yarrick said, pointing toward a vibrant section showcasing the Nithran and human stories woven together. It speaks volumes about balance. I'm glad it resonates, Alex replied. I may have been too hasty, Yarrick said, looking contemplative. Maybe collaboration can also tell our stories without erasing what matters. Exactly. That's what Celine and I are here for, Alex encouraged. Let's create a future together, one where we all thrive. Perhaps I'll join a workshop, Yarrick said with a hint of a smile. As Alex walked away, he couldn't help but feel that they had nudged the needle closer to their vision and opening a potential. Turning back, he spotted Celine, her gaze focused on a large audience gathered near another installation. Your vision is becoming a reality, he said, joining her side. I can hardly believe it, she replied, her voice barely a whisper. But all of this is only the beginning. Yes, and there will be challenges ahead, Alex said, gazing at the crowd. But I think we'll face them together. Celine met his gaze, the bond between them palpable. Together, she echoed, and in that moment they both knew they were on a journey far greater than either had expected. Chapter 5, A New Beginning. The aftermath of the showcase buzzed in the air like a vivid tapestry woven from excitement, uncertainty, and enthusiasm. The success of their event had drawn a mixed crowd, but it marked a significant milestone for Alex, Celine, and the Exchange Initiative. As the evening wound down, people began to filter out of the venue, chatting animatedly about the art and the collaboration. Alex stood with Celine by the entrance, watching the crowd trickle away. "Did you see their faces?" Celine asked, her voice mingled with disbelief and wonder. "I think we actually changed a few minds tonight." "Absolutely. The energy in here was electric," Alex replied, leaning against the doorframe, feeling a swell of pride. "Tonight was what I'd hoped for and more," she said quietly, catching his gaze. "But there's still so much to do. We've just scratched the surface." A familiar figure strode toward them, a broad smile on his face. It was Jeremy Lockhart, the artist who had been instrumental in rallying the human community. "Hey, you too! Congratulations on a stellar night," Jeremy exclaimed, his voice booming with enthusiasm. "I've never seen so much excitement surrounding an artistic collaboration. This is just the start." "Thanks, Jeremy," Alex said, extending a handshake and then a quick hug. "Your support made this happen. I told you I'd come through." Jeremy grinned. "I've already spoken to some artists interested in hosting workshops of their own. It's spreading like wildfire. We just needed this launch to spark it." Celine's face lit up. "That's phenomenal. If we can build a network of artists willing to engage, the project will take on a life of its own." "I'll help coordinate on my end," Jeremy offered, his energy infectious. "We can even host artist talks discussing the themes of our cultures in art. Imagine the depth we can add through conversation. Let's get to work," Alex said, feeling a sense of urgency as they moved back inside to gather materials and ideas. The following weeks blended together as preparations intensified for the upcoming workshops and discussions. Celine often visited Alex's office, and their interactions felt more like a cooperative venture rather than strictly a professional relationship. One afternoon, while brainstorming over coffee, Celine leaned over the table, her voice low. "So, Alex, could we host a panel about cross-cultural artistic techniques?" "Definitely," Alex replied, tapping a pencil against his chin. "We could include demonstrations, inviting artists to show how they incorporate elements from both cultures into their work. It would naturally foster dialogue." "Exactly. And then we can add a Q&A session for audience participation," she suggested, growing animated. "You're on a roll today." Alex grinned, enjoying her excitement. "What else do you have in mind?" Celine hesitated for a moment before leaning in slightly. "You know, I've always wanted to explore human art forms that focus on raw emotion, the ones that speak without words. Maybe we could have something centered around that." "An emotional storytelling segment? That's brilliant," Alex said. "We could invite poets to read their work alongside visuals, inviting the audience to experience the art more deeply. Right? And we can compare that with how Nithrans convey emotions through visual art," she added, her eyes sparkling. "Consider it done," Alex said, jotting down ideas. The planning continued, and as hours slipped by, conversations began to feature more laughter and shared thoughts. With each meeting, Alex felt the boundaries between them fading. "Can I ask you something?" Celine said, her tone shifting as she leaned back in her chair. "Sure, go ahead," Alex replied, curious. "What made you want to embark on this artistic journey?" she asked, her gaze steady. He paused, reflecting. "To be honest, I've always believed in the power of connection through creativity. Art transcends barriers and speaks to the shared experiences we all have, even across galaxies." Celine nodded thoughtfully. "I feel similarly. It's often what leads me to question my position back on Nithra." "What do you mean?" Alex asked, intrigued. "I've been groomed for leadership my entire life," she said, her voice slightly distant. "But the more I see, the more I question whether ruling the Nithrans is truly where I belong." "That's a heavy burden," Alex replied, empathy lining his words. "But what do you want? It's okay to choose your path." Celine met his gaze, a hint of vulnerability creeping into her demeanor. "I want to explore art. To create without restriction, not just for the good of the people, but for myself." "Then why not pursue that? You're not just destined for a throne," Alex encouraged, inspired by her honesty. "You can carve out your own identity through this project." Maybe you're right," she said slowly, pondering his encouragement. As the launch event for their workshops approached, Alex and Celine worked tirelessly. When the day finally arrived, the energy in the air was charged with anticipation. Artists from both worlds filled the venue, each eager to share their talents and creations. "Kickoff time," Alex exclaimed as he stepped onto the stage. He looked out at the crowd and gestured for attention. "Welcome everyone. Today is not just about human and Nithran art, this is about collaboration, about finding common ground through creativity." The applause rang through the hall, and Alex turned to Celine, who stood alongside him with a proud smile. Today, we hope to forge connections that illuminate the unique strengths of both our cultures, Celine added, her voice steady. We invite you to engage, to participate, and to explore the depth of expression that art provides. As the workshops began, artists led demonstrations sharing their techniques and inspirations. Alex wandered through the crowd, feeling the vibrancy around him. He found himself standing next to Yarrick, who was intently observing a live painting session from a Nithran artist. Not sure what to make of this yet? Alex asked lightly. Maybe I'm just trying to absorb it all, Yarrick replied, his expression softened. But I'll admit there's something captivating about the interaction. That's what it's all about, Alex said, nodding. Allowing ourselves to experience unfiltered. Art has a way of connecting us beyond words. I see that now, Yarrick admitted, his voice thoughtful. Perhaps this collaboration may not be such a loss after all. Great to hear. We need voices willing to be part of the conversation, Alex encouraged, hoping to stir a shift in perspectives. As the day progressed, laughter and creativity filled the air. Celine moved deftly between groups, encouraging artists and attendees while collaborating with her staff, exuding an infectious energy that illuminated the space. By the end of the day, a closing session was held. Together, Alex and Celine took the floor once more to share their reflections. Looking back on today, I can see the value in what we're creating, not just for ourselves, but for our cultures, Alex said, glancing at Celine. And it reaffirms the belief that art is a universal language, Celine added, her eyes sparkling. We all share stories. The more we connect, the more we enrich one another. As they stood there together, an unspoken understanding bound them, as colleagues, as creators, and perhaps something deeper than either dared to acknowledge. We have so much more to explore, Celine said, a soft smile gracing her lips. Yes, and we'll face it all together, Alex assured her. With the evening's events drawing to a close, they shared a moment by the window overlooking the city lights, excitement sparking silently between them, setting the stage for the adventures yet to unfold.